everybody. Welcome to episode 2 of RestLab podcast. I am your host, Jordan Maney, and I am joined today by whom I consider not only a close personal friend, low key, my biz bestie. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
I would be doing this if she wasn't around, to be quite honest.
Oh
Um,
boy.
and I'm just so excited to introduce her to y'all and then get into our questions and activity for today. If you watched our first episode with Becky Mollenkamp, thank you, and I'm so glad that you're back. Today we're gonna add a little restful element to the conversation, and I'm really excited to see how that goes, and how we all kind of respond to it. But before we dive in, I want to just do a little housekeeping with y'all. If you are watching us live, there is a chat that you can ask questions in, put things in, however, respond, let us know how you're feeling. Please do that. I know on LinkedIn, there is about a 30 to 40-second delay.
Mm.
So if it pops up later and we've passed that point or whatever, I will try and go back to look at those questions at the tail end of our time today. But put stuff in the chat. I like seeing the chat pop. It's fun. Um, this is going to be a relaxing conversation with someone who has incredible experience in the hospitality and events industries, and I wanted to do some creative rest because she's so creative and she does so many incredibly creative things for other people. It's fun to do some creative things for ourselves. So let me tell you a little bit about Allison Davis. She is a creative director and event strategist specializing in high touch weddings and luxury brand experiences around the world. You know how some people say, like, I'm global because it means like I'm available to do things globally? She's actually done them. Okay.
Look, we have
Over,
to start somewhere.
oh,
No shade
true. No
to the global
shade, but
girlies.
she's actually done them. And over a decade in, she's still just as excited by the first guest's arrival each time. That's the type of person you want at your event. She partners with people and brands who prioritize fresh ideas, impeccable logistics, and exceptional hospitality. Building a real world experience around your idea, product, or love story is where she shines. She lives in the details while always keeping the big picture in focus, and she knows how to make every guest feel like a VIP. Her work and insights have been featured in several major media outlets over the years, including a little known newspaper, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, CNN, Vogue, Brides, and more. Whether you're building your brand's event strategy or recently engaged and overwhelmed, Allison Davis of Davis Row is the person that you need to be talking to. So
Thank
I'm
you.
You're welcome, friend. So I'm so glad that I get to be talking to you today about the event industry and rest. So I already know that sentence is loaded, right? I already know that sentence is loaded. So we're going to transition into questions. If you feel good, if you feel ready to transition into questions, I'm going to
Yeah.
explain what our restivity is for today. I
hmm
think it's
hmm
super cute. So I sent Allison a selection, the finest selection of coloring pages. And
Curated
so
coloring pages.
curated coloring pages, y'all. These are
Hmm
from Yay Coloring Pages. They're all free. You can download these for yourself. I will put those in the chat. I'm doing this like spa situation at home, spa situation. Um, but coloring pages are a really great example of creative rest. They allow you to kind of slow the brain down a little bit, chill, relax, breathe in, breathe out, and take a moment for yourself. So, we're going to be doing that while we're having this conversation and going through these questions. Allison is the best event designer that I know, so I know her house is going to be like popping. It's going to be like, oh, I didn't
So,
know.
yeah, I already started. I put a lot of work into this one leaf.
Yes, Monstera. I love
My
it.
Monstera leaf has dimension. I don't
It
know if you
has
can see.
shading. What are you?
Yeah, I'm really intense about everything.
I love
But
it.
I wish I could calm down when I color, but it's fun to add a little
I freaking
extra.
love it. Be extra. In the words of
That's me.
Phaedra on Trader Season 2, I do too much because you do too little. Other people just do too little. You're not doing too
Thank you.
much.
Thank
You're
you.
not doing too much. Okay, so if y'all are listening and you are coming to this podcast frenzied, tired, overwhelmed, burnt out, pissed off, annoyed, somebody's getting on your nerves, let's just take a minute to close your eyes, slow it down, inhale and exhale. Be present to the moment that you're in right now. Take all of those frustrations, people getting on your nerves, state of the world. Let's just put it to the side for now. Breathe, and let's have this lovely pause together. All right, let's dive in. Allison, what is rest for you? What does that look like for you?
Well, to be extremely transparent out of the gate, I have not really been resting at all the past couple of years.
Yeah.
I've just been going through a lot of change personally, professionally, and I'm the type of person that feels like if I'm not actively working, then nothing's happening,
Hmm.
which is not true.
But
And it's
also so
hard
normal
to
for entrepreneurs to feel that way.
totally, yes, it's definitely entrepreneurial brain. It's like I'm busy all the time or it's not popping.
Hmm.
And I think that I also just come from a household where not doing things for any period of time was seen as lazy, which
Hmm.
is also
Hmm.
something to work through. Some generational stuff there. But for me, I think the thing that I've been able to lean into more after moving from New York to Charlotte, North Carolina, is spending more time in nature.
Mm.
Um, I have always kind of seen myself as recognize myself as an indoor girl because I am to a certain extent. I don't really go camping. I'm not really into hiking, like outdoor activities to a certain extent, not really my thing.
Hmm.
But I do feel very calm when I'm in nature,
Yeah.
and there's something about it that just kind of forces you to slow down, which I really need.
Yeah.
And so for me, resting involves being outside in some capacity. Um, Being outside and also not doing anything. That's like
Ooh.
my my favorite combination. Like when I go on vacation, when I travel and it's not vacation, my favorite thing to do is nothing.
Yeah.
And allowing myself to do nothing and not feeling like I'm sacrificing anything in particular. I'm not doing a disservice to myself by doing it. I'm not um, giving up on opportunities by doing it. Um, it's just not healthy. It's not sustainable to just go, 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 go. Um, and I have to constantly remind myself of that.
I'm just
I think it's also, sorry, go ahead.
no. Please keep going. Please keep going.
I think it's also very millennial of me to feel as though all of my hobbies have to be monetized. Um,
Mm.
and that's been really hard for me for a long time. Um, I get really into making stuff because I like crafts. I like to make stuff. Get into making a thing. I like get a paint by number, and I like how it turns out. And I'm like, I should start an Etsy shop. No, you
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't. It's okay to just do stuff for the sake of doing it. Um, Also, this I'm like off on the tangent a little bit here, but
No.
in sports, I also am very competitive, and so it's hard for me to see sport as a restful activity because I'm so competitive that I'm like, if
Oh,
I'm not the best person on the court, on the field, then there's no point in me being here. And that's 100% not true, but it definitely has held me back before because I'm like, I have to
yeah.
win. If I'm not winning, why go?
Yeah.
Um, and so, whereas some people find like pickleball relaxing, I can't relax. I can't relax. I have to win.
Fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
That's so fast. But you know what's, first of all, thank you for saying all of that. I feel like
Sure.
a lot of people don't want to admit
Mm-hmm.
that it can feel difficult to rest, or that, like, maybe we have some narratives in our head around, like, why are you sitting down when you could be doing something, idle hands, all that, blah, 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 blah. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for sharing that. But I also love that nugget about being able to recognize in yourself what is not restful to you that might be restful
Mm-hmm.
to other people.
Yeah.
But for you, like, that's just, self-awareness is such an important part of this and such an important piece of this. So I just love that you were like, no. I absolutely second the millennial urge to make everything into like a side hustle
Mm-hmm.
or to capitalize on it in some type of way. We can just do things because we enjoy them.
Yeah. Yeah. It does.
Ain't
Not
that
everything has
crazy?
to be. Not everything has to be a thing. Not everything has to be monetized. A check, um, 30 cents from
Yeah,
Etsy in your bank account. Like it doesn't. Not everything has to be paid. Some stuff you can just do because you like it, which is very hard
exactly.
to
It is,
pull to the forefront of your mind.
especially when you're excellent at things. I think that's like the next question that I wanted to ask is, as a hospitality and events industry expert, how has rest and your experience intersected? Because I know mine, but you're also on a much more elevated level than I ever was, like with higher stakes as well. So, what has that been like for you?
It's rough. Um, I think the hardest part is when you're in season, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
and the events are hitting you back to back to back. Um, and you have to figure out a way to make the most of the off season, so to speak.
Yeah,
Um, and for me, when I worked in catering, we didn't really have an off season. I did catering
that's true.
operations, and so when things were slow, I was still doing 3, 4, 5 events a week. When things were busy, sometimes I was doing 7 events a week.
Jeez
Um,
Louise.
but it never really slowed down. It was just always on. So when you had time to like breathe, you did the best you could to like shut your brain off and relax, but it was hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why people burn out so quickly in those types of roles, like catering operations, hotel sales.
Mm-hmm.
Um, those types of roles are you're just always on, and it's very physical. You're always on the floor. You're always with clients. It just takes a lot out of you. It demands a lot of you.
Yeah.
But I think when you get into something more seasonal, like weddings, for example, um, depending on where you are in the country, of course, because most people now want to have outdoor weddings or they just want to consider like travel logistics and when the weather is good and when it's not hurricane season in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
So
Exactly.
a lot of it is about kind of balancing your season of events and your kind of slower seasons. Um, but even in your slower seasons, you still have work to do as an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the person that's in charge of sales, the person that's in charge of marketing, which a lot of us are both, we're in charge of everything. Um, you are just using a different part of your brain. Like you're never truly offline.
Yeah.
Um, And so I think it really has become, for me, just about figuring out how to make the most of those quieter times and not kind of like hustle myself to death.
Mm-hmm.
Because when things do get quiet, you can start to feel like, oh, it's quiet because I'm not working hard enough. Like, let me hurry up and get to work. Let me like send some more emails and like make a deck and like
Yeah.
I'm outside. But
Ugh,
some
I
of
get
that
that.
time has to be dedicated to yourself, and that's really, really hard
Mm-hmm.
because you have to keep in mind that it's it comes in waves. It's seasonal. So when it's slow, it's not slow forever. And when it's really busy again, you're going to be like, oh, remember when it was slow and I could
Mm-hmm.
just sit at the
Yeah.
coffee shop for 4 hours a day?
Every
Those were the
year.
days. Remember when I could just like take 3, 4 calls a day and just like have a kiki with all of my event friends around the country? Good
Mm-hmm.
times. Um, but those things are feeding your business as well. It just
Yeah.
can feel like nothing's happening. I think I'm kind of like in a little bit of that right now where I'm like hustling, but also realizing like I can see on the horizon all the stuff that I have to like show up
Mm-hmm.
and do. And I'm trying to kind of like slow myself down a bit when I feel myself getting all like amped up
Yeah.
because I the more I can renew myself now, the better the busy season, so to speak, will go for me on every
Yes.
level. On every level.
Okay, this is the thing that I find really interesting is that when I had my wedding planning firm, um I would have this thing where, like you said, when I was super busy and just god awful tired and like, God, I just need like a break. I just need a break. Then the break would come, and like you said, I'd be like, oh my God, everything's horrible. Like I need to be busy. Like it took a while, and eventually I got there, and it's low key why I was like, oh, like, my heart is in helping other people rest.
Mm-hmm.
Um it was just funny how like I needed to have that reframe of, this is your break. This is the time
Mm-hmm.
to renew. This is the time to take a breather, because you know what the busy season when you're on looks like and feels like. And so, one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on the podcast and I really wanted to ask you this question is because I think a lot of times when people think of folks in like the, I don't want to say rest industry, that sounds disgusting, wellness, I guess, they think of it
Wellness
as,
sounds right.
yeah, wellness sounds a lot better than me just saying like rest industry. Gross. Um, Duchess is behind me just doing the absolute most on the bed right now. Um, I think people think I'm going to tell them, hey, like, stop everything. Go to the top of a mountain.
Right.
Find your bliss. Like I'm not going to bypass
Mm-hmm.
reality. Reality is you might work in an industry similar in events. You might work in hospitality. You might work in an industry that has a similar pace to where like you can
Mm-hmm.
take a bigger break, but it might be a little harder when you're on, right?
Yes.
To be like, okay, like if you're a first responder, what good would I be to be like, oh, you're on call? Okay. What you really need to do is just go find like an hour for,
Yeah.
we can't bypass reality, right? And so, but we
Right.
can reframe it. And so I
Mm-hmm.
think that like kind of like, hey, this is my time when you're not in your busy season. You might be in your, I think we should call it building season, right? Because you're usually
Yeah.
working on like admin or
My sewing
sales.
season.
So, yeah, sewing season, or working in your marketing or something like that. Fixing stuff on the website. Like, there are things
Mm-hmm.
that you're still doing, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
How can you infuse more rest into that time so that when you are getting to the busy season, it's not as arduous and doesn't have as much of like an exhausting type of effect on you? I think reframing it
Mm-hmm.
is really helpful for people Because it's not that you don't love what you do.
Right, right. And I really gotta say, I appreciate that you always acknowledge privilege
Hmm.
in these conversations, because I think that that's what's missing from a lot of conversations,
Yeah.
especially when um, you're talking to people who work in luxury spaces, in hospitality, um, people who have businesses that seem as though they are hardly ever working and everything
Hmm.
comes very easily to them, and they don't take a lot of clients because they don't have to.
Hmm.
um, I think that a lot of times those privileges are not acknowledged and it's presented as
Yeah.
this is something that we can all do. Um, and that's not necessarily true.
Mm-mm.
I think it really is helpful for you to say that, you maybe you're a first responder, maybe you're a single parent, maybe you do not have the luxury of taking extended amounts of time to yourself. Um, so if that is your situation, you can still find ways to kind of renew, and it might just look different for you than it does
Yeah.
for the person who has immense privilege and resources around them.
Like I can't. Oh God, I think it was like 2 years ago. Most of my stuff was really geared towards business owners, and I had somebody who was a teacher, and it was a workshop on like building a sustainable calendar, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we had a. It was a very interesting conversation for me, um, because she was like, "Oh, I really want to take this, but also I'm a teacher, so I don't know how this would apply to me." And it made me think.
Mm-hmm.
It really did make me like sit down and think about like offerings and stuff. But you have to acknowledge where people are, right? Like I think a lot of folks in the wellness industry are trying to help people build dream lives that they don't have yet. We can do that, but also I want to acknowledge where you are. People are caregivers to elderly parents. People are caregivers to their own children, sometimes both at the same time. People
And
really,
entrepreneurs
and
on top of that.
entrepreneurs on top of that, which is wild to me. People
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
have, you know, grief and unexpected changes like divorces, losing family members, losing pets. Like things are different for every person, and sometimes you're experiencing seasons of things, but it's really
Mm-hmm.
important to be able to help folks acknowledge where they are so they can get the rest that they need right now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
versus just making plans for an idealized version of themselves that might not exist. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's
Right.
not fair to them either. So, I appreciate you saying that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, you can go as deep with this as you want to on this next question.
Oh
on
boy.
this on this next question, you can go as deep as you want. You can go as surface as you want, right? What's getting in the way of you getting more rest now?
I am.
Ooh, ooh, not the self read.
I I myself am getting in my own way
Oh my gosh.
of resting because, like I was kind of saying earlier, I have a habit of um, kind of pushing myself to just do, even when I'm not
Mm-hmm.
actually like moving the needle.
Yeah.
I'm busy for the sake of being busy. I'm just clicking around and typing,
I know.
reorganizing, and it's not actually um, very purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think um, the hardest thing for me is just letting stuff be done, recognizing that done is better than perfect, um, recognizing
Preach.
that I just have to make the thing instead of kind of noodling around on the idea. I have to make the thing and put it out and see what happens. Um, because I'm at the point where I'm not like constantly checking notifications or refreshing emails or lurking my competitors. I don't really do any of that stuff anymore, and that used to take up a lot of time.
Yes.
But now that I'm past those things, um, I'm finding that what really holds me back is me. It's not other people's perception of me or any really external thing. It's just me making myself feel like I have to constantly be working when that's not the case.
Friend. Friend. No, like,
Yeah, that might have been too real.
no, this is perfect because I think a lot of the times, yes, there are some real world circumstances that keep people from being able to access the rest that they need. Absolutely. I will never pretend that's not the truth. But it is, I think, really powerful when we can see, like, oh, bet, oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Not to be alphaba, it's me. Like, it's me. Um,
Oh boy.
you
Yeah,
know,
it's me.
and how can
My bad.
we, my bad. It is, that's okay. So I say this all the time. I probably will say this every episode, and it'll get on people's nerves who listen to it frequently, but not for the reasons that you think. Not because you're hearing it again, because it's reminding you again. The way
Because it
that we
hurts.
define rest, it hurts a little. It's a little agitating. Um, the way that we define rest is the energy, attention, and time you return to yourself. You return to yourself. It's intentional, but there's also a responsibility there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
And usually when people hear that, they're like, ooh, like what you did. Ooh, uh,
Ooh,
ooh.
that's a bit much for me.
I don't want to hear that right now. I want you to tell
Don't
me
like
that,
that one.
yeah, tell me something else, but don't tell me that.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I think it's so powerful that you said that. I think that's such a big
Yeah.
deal that you said that because a lot of people, especially in the events industry, don't want to admit that.
It's hard to admit
Um,
it.
my
It's
friend,
great to blame things on
oh,
everybody and
on
everything
everybody
but
else,
yourself.
the
Yeah.
client is getting on your nerves. It's just
Oh,
other folks are getting on your nerve, like other
yeah.
people, but not
It's the
moi.
client, it's the other vendors, it's the
Mm-hmm.
weather, um,
Somebody else.
the devil, all of it.
I can't.
Sorry.
No, but for real, like I think it's easier to blame other people than it is to be like, hey, my friend Christina Olivares, she runs this wonderful conference called Hustle and Socialize. And she
Mhm.
said something on a post on LinkedIn last year that had me like rolling, where she was talking to her therapist and was like, just talking about how overwhelmed and stressed she is and just how hard all of this is. And her therapist was reminded her, like, oh, yeah, you chose this, though.
Yeah, don't tell me that.
Don't tell me. I would have walked. I would have been like, oh, time to take my bag. Annalise Keating. It's been fun.
Lady,
Gotta go. Because don't, the attack.
talk to me like that.
Don't talk to me
Mm-mm.
like, don't be rude. But
No.
just reminding, I have to, and you've witnessed when I've been like, I can't, like having those types of moments, I have to remind myself,
Yeah.
but I chose this. And if I chose this, I can make another choice too, right? I think we're
Right.
in a time where a lot of people are making other choices, whether that looks like part time or full time work somewhere else, whether that looks like
Mhm.
changing their offerings or who they're talking to,
Mhm.
whether that looks like retirement, like whatever that looks like. You, especially if you're in the position to be a business owner, an entrepreneur, or in some type of leadership position, you have the ability to make
Mhm.
another choice. But even if you're not, you still have choices. You still have agency.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about rest, we got to acknowledge our agency to be able to do that. We can recognize the circumstances and factors that keep us from our rest. We can recognize the narratives that we've adopted in our heads about, like, work and work ethic and a lack of rest ethic, and what that looks like. But we can
Hustle
also
culture,
hustle
girl
culture,
bossing.
gatekeep, sorry, gaslight,
Yeah,
gatekeep, girl boss. We can acknowledge
girl
those
boss.
things and
Yeah,
also acknowledge, yo, I got to take some responsibility for this too. So that's huge that you said that. I
yeah.
think that's going to
I don't
help.
like it, but it's the truth.
Hey, that's where all growth starts. That's where all growth starts is like, this sucks and I hate it and it's
I'm
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable.
And I got to move through this or try something different or what have you. But you're going to look back at that moment like a year from now and be like, ooh, look at the ways that I took care of myself in 2025 that maybe I didn't beforehand. So that's going to be so healing
Right.
for a lot of people. It's going to be so
I hope
healing
so.
for it is, friend. Like it's going to be healing for a lot of people who are probably in events right now, in hospitality right now, or some type of service provider who also are
hmm
like, I can't take a day off. I have to like just keep going, 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 going.
Yeah. And shout out to young people in the busy season right now because it is busy
Truly,
season.
truly in the trenches.
You got this. It's not going to be like this forever.
It's not. This too shall pass, and it will get better. It always does. It literally always does. This might sound dark, but it's what it makes me
Uh
think
oh.
of. There's some oh, if Taina was listening, she would tell me what the term is. Um I believe it's like a Nordic or Scandinavian cultures, like ancient cultures where they believed in order for spring to come, a sacrifice needed to be made.
Uh oh.
Um and I think sometimes we can think the same thing that like, oh god, I got to get through this real big bad thing and
Event
then
event pros definitely think that.
event pros are definitely out here doing like Scandinavian
I'm sacrificing myself
self. Exactly. Exactly. I'm
so I can be
sacrificing.
reborn in
Yes,
July.
exactly. I'll be the sacrifice. So by summertime, I can
hmm
just sit in this room with the AC blasting, not doing anything.
hmm
We can't always change realty. We can't always change our circumstances in the ways that we want. We can
Right.
reframe them.
Right.
You do have more agency than you think you do.
Yeah.
So if you're in it right now, Godspeed, and
Hang
I
in there.
hang in there. Um, if you're a WIPA member, please watch the training that I did a
Please be a
couple
WIPA
weeks ago.
member, first of all.
Also
Be a
that.
WIPA member. If you're in the wedding industry and you feel like you're missing community because all you see is people complaining about each other, join
WIPA
WIPA.
membership.
We don't do that.
WIPA membership immediately. I probably would still be in events if I had joined WIPA.
Oh, don't say that.
I probably, honestly, because it's such a great,
You want to come
it's,
back?
I don't know about that, friend.
Is it too late? Okay.
I don't know about that, friend. But
Okay.
I probably absolutely would still be in weddings if I had joined WIPA. But we talked about
Community
that.
matters. Yeah.
Community is everything. I know people are
hmm
so hungry for that right now, and it also helps with rest, because re- learning how to rest is learning that you cannot do everything
Yeah.
and that you need folks and that you need folks to lean on, which is the very
hmm
opposite of everything an entrepreneur wants to do. We're very like, oh, I can be sales, marketing, I can do the service, I can be talent, I can also be a speaker, I can be a writer, the
I
producer,
have a chorus.
director. I of
hmm
course, I could do everything.
Yeah.
Lunacy. Um, absolute like lunacy, right? But I think that's huge, and that's going to be so healing, just like hearing that from someone who is as much of an expert, an industry leader as you are, to be like, oh, bet it was me. It's going to be
yeah.
healing for people. So thank you for being vulnerable in that way and sharing.
Sure.
Okay, we've got two more questions, and then
Okay.
we can show our beautiful artwork.
I'm going
Um,
ham on this plant right now.
I know you are.
The plant is so good.
I've just got bubbles. Is all I finish on mine in this towel. But
Oh, I like that though.
what would you do to make it easier to rest for people with your experience? So what would you do to make it easier to rest for people with your experience in events in hospitality? What are some things that you would change?
Like about the industry,
Yeah.
or that's hard.
Again,
I
you could
think.
go as hard on that as you want, or keep
Well,
it
let
low.
me talk about the wedding industry because I've seen a lot of wedding industry bickering recently on
Mm,
socials, which is so embarrassing for us. But I think part of what's difficult about that industry in particular is that people are holding each other to either unreasonable or impossible standards, and they're making judgments of each other's businesses where they're not really um, necessary, appropriate, um, and there tends to be um, kind of people tend to forget that we're a team
mm-hmm.
serving the client.
Yes.
We all share the client.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my client; it's our client
Yes.
together. um, and I think the thing that unlocked so much for me in therapy was realizing that I judge myself very harshly because I judge others very harshly.
Ooh.
And when I started to kind of chill out
Mm-hmm.
on the judgment of others and give them grace, it helped me give myself more grace and realize that I don't have to be I don't have to be on point all the time. It's okay to be a little bit off point.
Yeah.
It's not every day is the Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
um, or Paris Fashion Week. So I think that for that industry in particular, and I think for events in general, being nicer to each other and
Mm.
giving each other a little bit more grace would help a lot in finding it possible to rest. Um, like, yes, we should be responding to clients quickly, but that doesn't mean you have to respond within 30 minutes on the weekends. You know, holding each other, yeah, holding each other to those standards, I think just perpetuates the myth that we have to work 24/7. We don't. And I think that clients know that we don't have to work 24/7 and they don't expect us to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the expectations that a lot of wedding industry people feel that feel very uncomfortable and heavy are coming from others in the industry, not from the client. And recognizing the difference really changes things.
That's massive.
I've been thinking
Oh,
about this a lot.
I first of all, the judgment piece. Shout out
Mm-hmm.
to you. Kudos to you for recognizing that. Um, that is still that's still a work in progress for myself. Is and connecting it to something that you said earlier about like it just needs to get done. It doesn't need to be perfect. I will
Mm-hmm.
often
Mm-hmm.
spin and the self judgment of it needs to be perfect and keep myself from like just getting things out and done.
It's so
Um,
hard.
because I'm like, no, but it needs to be perfect. But then when I think about when I've eventually done the thing, it's been janky and people have still enjoyed it.
Yeah, and
So,
also like your idea of janky might still be exceptional,
yeah.
and the standards that you hold yourself to, the standards that you hold others to, might be sky high in comparison to what is
That's very,
allowable, acceptable, what will land for your audience. Um, that part is really hard.
it's very
Um,
hard. Because you
and
care.
a
Because you
thing,
care.
yeah, and a thing I'm I have been exposed to on LinkedIn, now that I'm linking in more, is the concept of building in public. And that's my
Oh,
worst nightmare,
yeah,
honestly,
same.
building in public. But the community that you can build when you are building in public,
Hmm.
no pun intended, is massive because people want to people want to connect with each other on on the process
Hmm.
of creating the thing.
Yeah,
Everybody
because
likes
it's
behind the scenes.
everybody behind the scenes. One, if we're just talking about content, behind the scenes content always does well because people like to know
Goes crazy.
what goes on. I think I sent you a
Yeah.
video or something last week of Tina Knowles, mother of Solange and Beyonce,
The Queen
um,
Mother.
Queen Mother, and also Calandria Rowland Kelly.
And yes.
Um, her saying something about for the Renaissance tour, that picture of Tina and Uncle Johnny that shows it like at the end of
Mm-hmm.
Heated.
Mm-hmm.
She's the way she said it. She was like, Beyonce asked me for this picture last minute, of course. The way she said that healed me.
Oh, you mean Beyonce is not 400 steps ahead at all
She's just
times
not
with
sitting at
everyone?
the top of a tower like thinking decades in advance. Like some of it's
Right.
last. It can be last minute. Oh, hold on.
Sometimes last minute is okay.
Sometimes last minute is okay, and I find that highly fascinating. That that little tidbit that people want to see you in the process. Oftentimes, we think that the product is the only thing that matters. Capitalism, the product is the only thing that matters. But when you do
Yeah.
something creative, and I would argue that if you were an entrepreneur and you were trying to build something, you have a vision, you're trying to build something, you are doing something creative. The
Mm-hmm.
process is actually the key and what matters most and what people want to see. People want to know, like, oh, it's not just me. Oh my God, like I'm not alone in this. Um,
This is what
it's the
they want to see.
this is what they want to see, like the process. So that's
Yeah.
beautiful, friend.
And
Um,
also that is hard, I think, in the wedding industry to bring it back. It's hard to build in public because just the nature of the industry, the spirit of the industry is very polished. And
yeah.
that's one hand of it. And I recognize that. But the part that I was having a hard time articulating for years was the privacy aspect of it.
Mm.
Um, my
Expand on that.
clients, my clients are not really visible in that way.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be tagged on Instagram. Some of them don't even want to be
Yeah.
on the Instagram. They don't want to be on the website. They don't want to be featured anywhere. They don't want to be seen. Um, because at a certain point, the type of work you're doing, it's very elaborate, it's very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
It's a luxury service, and so some people just don't want to be. They don't want to be the face of something that's very personal to them, and so when we talk about building in public, we talk about showing your work, and we talk about behind the scenes. That's harder when you deal in a service first first of all, but it's harder when you're dealing in a service that is creating experiences for people and their closest friends, their closest family members, while also protecting their privacy. Um, a lot of what we're doing at this level of the wedding industry is under NDA.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many amazing events that you're never going to see.
Damn.
And the thing that I hear often from people who know marketing well is, well, you should do like a series of like planning a wedding with a client or choosing a venue or
Mm-hmm.
picking the design, whatever. Like, I would love to do those things, but I would have to fake a lot of it because my clients don't want to be part of the marketing in that way.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want it to be out in the open. They want it to be something that's like a secret that they invited their closest people to. Um, they don't want everybody to be part of the experience because that dilutes the experience for them in a way. I've worked with clients who, if you Google them, nothing comes up. You
Ooh.
Google their parents, nothing comes up. or you get like the one article or the one thing that was written about them 20 years ago
Yeah.
and nothing else. And they want to keep it that way. And I respect that. And so it can be
Always.
really hard to build in public when that's the type of work that you do.
Mm-hmm.
But figuring out how to be vulnerable is,
Mm-hmm.
um, I think, something that I struggle with, but something that I'm really putting an emphasis on and really taking seriously right now because it helps me give myself more grace to make mistakes, um, and lessens the pressure that I put on myself so
Mm-hmm.
that I'm able to, um, I don't know, like breathe a little bit more,
Yes.
um, take time to just like chill and maybe take like a couple of days to answer an email rather than a couple minutes.
Yes.
Um, I think that stuff is important because even if you can find like those little tiny moments of rest, those add up to something bigger. It's not always about taking a sabbatical, which I think a lot of people
Girl,
think it is.
I think a lot of people think it is because they haven't. It's very all or nothing thinking. It's very like, oh God, I'm so dehydrated that I need to drink like a reservoir worth of water.
Right.
No,
Let me get this gallon water jug.
right? And like most people, medical professionals, I could be messing this up because I'm not a medical professional, but I'm pretty sure when you're dealing with people who are damn near dying of thirst, you don't overwhelm their system with a lot
You
of
don't want to drown their
fluids.
organs. Right.
Yes, like so it's the same thing of like just getting in the habit and again going through that process. But friend to friend, taking off my podcast host hat for a little bit. I'm just so proud of you. I'm
Thank
genuinely
you.
so proud of you. I think it
Thank
is a very
you.
vulnerable thing to share a vision of what you're trying to build and put it into the world, however that looks, and to let people see it not necessarily polished, because
It's
I
really
think there's
hard.
it's hard because there's fear of judgment, but truly no judgment is worse than your own.
Amen.
Nobody could
I
be
know
meaner
that's
to
right.
me than me. Like no
Right.
no one has the power to be meaner to me than me. Um
Yep.
so I think that's just really beautiful and I'm really proud of you and
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing how you continue to build, how you continue to build Davis Row, but also how you continue to do it in such a way where like you're really taking like care of yourself the way that you deserve.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I really do because I think what we do in hospitality is about taking care of other people.
Mm.
And I've found that the opportunities I take to take care of myself make me better at my job.
Yes. Yes.
Like
Yes.
the concept of a fam trip, but like on a different level. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna go, I'm gonna experience the thing, I'm gonna eat the food, I'm gonna stay in the suite, I'm gonna do all the things so that I can sell it to the client, so that I know the experience, I know what
Mm-hmm.
is to be expected, and so I can pass that on to the client. Um, that concept I think applies to more than just sales in
Yes.
hospitality. I think it's also
Yes.
about how you treat yourself in your day to day, like being able to enjoy luxury and whatever that looks like for you so that you can encourage that for the clients.
And also, you just can't. It's cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason because it works. You can't pour from an empty cup.
I know that's right.
Your creativity is at its best not when you are stressed, but when you are clear.
Mm-hmm.
Your service is at its best when you have taken care of yourself. So for
Mm-hmm.
anybody watching who may be in the events or hospitality industry, maybe a service provider, caregiver, someone who gives to other people in some capacity, taking care of
Mm-hmm.
yourself makes you better at doing that. It doesn't take away from it, it enhances it. Um,
Yeah, and it makes it easier for you to recognize
mhm.
when your clients are moving into that zone too. it makes it easier for you to understand when your client is fully relaxed and enjoying something and when they're still holding on to a little bit of anxiety, panic, control, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
is, however that looks in the work that you do. Um, and being able to relate to your clients on that level, I think, is really, really special.
I love it. I want to double check the chat before I ask the last question. Let's see, let's see, let's see. That's interesting. Okay. So, last question. How did this feel for you?
This was really fun. Me and my plant had a ball. Um,
I love
it's
it.
nice to use a different part of my brain.
I love that. I
Yeah,
got
I like to
not
make stuff.
I got not very far in mine. I made the bubbles and they
Put the
kind
bubbles
of
closer to the camera. Let me see them.
I tried to give a
Oh,
little
cute.
color, a
Come
little
on, Dimension.
outlining.
What was your
Um
tool of choice here? Is it a colored pencil? Is it a crayon? What are you doing?
Colored
What's your
pencil,
what's your stack?
my stack. Oh my god. I have the Crayola erasable colored pencils. I've
Oh,
had these for
fancy.
years. I don't know if they even make them anymore, but they were on sale at Michael's when I bought them.
I love
Um,
Michael.
I love Michael's.
God bless him.
So yeah, these were really fun to use, and they have good like they give off some good color.
Yeah,
Let me see that
yeah.
house. Let me see that house.
It's a plant right now. Here's my plant.
Yeah, okay. That looks like okay, first what
It's not
hold
done.
on.
The pot's not done,
That's
but
so
the leaves are
good.
done. Thank you. I've done this before.
You are an expert at this. Of course you've done this
Thanks.
before.
I love
Like,
coloring.
oh my god. That looks like something that you would see off of like an animated show, like the coloring
Shut
and
up.
like dimension. No, friend, seriously,
Don't gas me up.
I'm not
Don't gas
gassing
me
you
up.
up. That was lovely.
Thank
That was so
you. Thank you.
pretty. Oh my gosh.
I'll add it to my portfolio when I submit
You better
my
put
work
that as a
to.
LinkedIn featured post.
Goodbye.
Oh my
LinkedIn feature
gosh.
my coloring page.
You're
If you're interested
hilarious.
in booking me for coloring pages,
Hey,
hit my DM.
don't knock until you try it. Friend, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks for
I
having me. This is great.
This is great.
You're onto something here.
I think I may perhaps be cooking as the kids say.
Yeah, you might be.
Um I might be. We might be. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your honesty and vulnerability. Um I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited to see all the beautiful things Davis Rowe continues to create and moments you continue to build for people. Like the only way up, the only way forward is up, friend. Like you're doing incredible work, and I'm really proud of you. Thank you
Thank
again for your
you.
time. Thank y'all
Thank you.
for listening. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next time on the RestLab podcast. Bye.
Bye.